When most people think about Superman, they think about the flying, the cape, the strength, the impossible feats. But I've always thought the most interesting thing about Superman wasn't that he could lift a continent, it's that he had to pretend to be ordinary. Christopher Reeve didn't just play a superhero, he played two completely different people who happened to share the same face. And that raises an interesting psychological question. Who is Clark Kent, really? For decades, audiences have debated one simple question. Is Superman the real person pretending to be Clark Kent? Or is Clark Kent the real person pretending to be Superman? Christopher Reeve somehow convinced us that both answers were true at the same time. Watch the way he changes his posture. As Clark Kent, his shoulders slump, his voice softens, his eyes avoid contact, he stumbles, he apologizes, he almost disappears into the background. Then, in an instant, he stands up straight. His voice becomes confident, his movements become deliberate. Nothing about his face changes, but suddenly you're looking at Superman. It's one of the greatest physical performances in superhero history, and psychologically, it's fascinating. Most of us wear different versions of ourselves every day. We're different at work than we are with friends, different around family, different online. Psychologists sometimes talk about people presenting different aspects of themselves depending on the situation. That isn't necessarily unhealthy, it's part of being human. Clark Kent simply takes this idea to the extreme. His glasses aren't really the disguise is the behavior. He's intentionally making himself forgettable, not because he's ashamed, but because being noticed would put everyone around him in danger. Christopher Reeve understood this perfectly. His Clark isn't clumsy because he's incompetent. He's clumsy because competence attracts attention. But pretending all the time comes with consequences. Imagine never being able to tell your coworkers who you really are. Never being able to explain why you're constantly disappearing. Never being able to accept recognition for the things you've accomplished. That's exhausting. Clark has to constantly monitor every word, every gesture, every reaction. He can never accidentally catch a falling object, never move too quickly, never show how strong he really is. That kind of constant self-monitoring would wear almost anyone down. It's one reason Clark often appears lonely. He's surrounded by people, yet no one truly knows him. There's another interesting psychological angle here. Many successful people struggle with something known as Impostor Syndrome. It's the feeling that you're somehow fooling everyone around you. That eventually, someone will discover you don't deserve the success you've achieved. Now, obviously, Clark Kent isn't faking being Superman. He actually is Superman, but he does constantly question whether he's making the right decisions. Should he interfere? Should he save everyone? Where's the line? Christopher Reeve never portrayed Superman as emotionally invincible. He gave him uncertainty, and ironically, that uncertainty made him feel more heroic. Because courage isn't the absence of doubt, it's doing the right thing despite it. One of my favorite symbols in these movies is the Fortress of Solitude. Most people see it as Superman's headquarters, but psychologically, it's something much more interesting. It's the only place where he doesn't have to perform. He isn't pretending to be Clark. He isn't acting like Superman for the public. He's simply Kal-El, just himself. We all need places like that. Maybe it's home, maybe it's with family, maybe it's with one trusted friend. Somewhere we don't have to explain ourselves, somewhere we aren't playing a role. For Superman, that's the fortress. Perhaps Christopher Reeve's greatest accomplishment was making Superman look tired, not physically, emotionally. Every time someone is in danger, he goes. Every disaster becomes his responsibility. Every emergency becomes his problem. That's an impossible standard, and yet he keeps trying. Many psychologists have discussed the tendency for some people to feel personally responsible for solving everyone else's problems. Superman lives with that burden every day. He knows he can't save everyone, but he also knows he'll never stop trying. That's what makes him inspiring, not because he's perfect, but because he refuses to stop caring. There have been many great actors who've worn the cape. Each has brought something valuable to the role. But Christopher Reeve remains unique because he understood something fundamental. Superman's greatest power isn't flight. It's not heat vision. It isn't super strength. It's compassion. He doesn't help people because he's stronger than everyone else. He helps because he believes strength creates responsibility. That's why nearly 50 years later, audiences still connect with his performance. He wasn't playing a god. He was playing a genuinely kind man who just happened to be able to fly. And maybe that's why Christopher Reeve's Superman continues to feel timeless. Not because he's the hero we wish existed, but because he reminds us the kind of people we hope we can become. But that's just my interpretation. Do you think Clark Kent is the real identity, or is it Superman? And do you think Christopher Reeve remains the definitive Man of Steel? I'd love to hear your thoughts in the comments. If you enjoyed this psychological deep dive into one of cinema's greatest heroes, be sure to like the video, subscribe to The Confusing Middle, and check out the rest of our Character Couch series. Until next time, thanks for watching.